Hello, anybody, and thanks for tuning in to Monday Morning Handicapping. I just got over an illness, so that's why it's been a few extra days since I put anything out, but feeling better now, so that's all good. But enough about me, let's get into the video. This is the 2025 Kentucky Derby Prospects video. We're going to be taking a look at one of the runners possibly eligible to run in the Kentucky Derby. This horse's name is East Avenue. Its sire or father was a horse named Medaglia D'Oro. Its mother or dam was a horse named Dance Music, and Dance Music's sire or father was a horse named Ghost Zapper. The trainer is Brendan Walsh, and the jockey is Tyler Gaffleone. So taking a look at the pedigree, the sire, like I said, Medaglia D'Oro, had 17 career starts, 8 wins, 7 second place finishes, no thirds, earned $5.75 million in its career. Routing, which is what the Kentucky Derby race is, a mile and a quarter. Routes encompass all races a mile or greater. This sire had 15 routes, 7 wins, 6 seconds, no thirds. Going a distance of a mile and a quarter, this horse raced 7 times at the distance, 1 win, 5 seconds, no thirds. Multiple Grade 1 stakes winner and placer on dirt, so it was definitely of the Grade 1 caliber, which again is what the Kentucky Derby will be. This horse had most of its win at the mile and an eighth distance, had 5 out of its 8 wins at a mile and an eighth, so just something to consider. The Kentucky Derby is an eighth of a mile longer. This horse also did run 4th in the 2002 Kentucky Derby at odds of 6-1. So, in a field of 20 horses running 4th, that is not bad. You can go back and watch the replay of that race. I actually probably should have. I don't know if this horse ran into traffic, but still, 4th place is a solid effort. The dam of this horse, East Avenue, that we're looking at, was a horse named Cappuccio Bay, had 24 starts, 5 wins, no seconds, 6 thirds, earned $164,000 in its racing career. This horse had 1 win routing, which was on the turf. Again, Kentucky Derby's obviously on the dirt. This horse had most of its success on the downhill turf at Santa Anita, so sprinting and going downhill, just a different dynamic than what the Kentucky Derby's actually going to be run on. The dam sire, so the father of the mother of East Avenue, was a horse named Ghost Zapper, had 11 starts, 9 wins, no seconds, and a third, $3.4 million in career earnings. This horse has the same dam sire as 2018 Triple Crown winner Justify, so Justify's mother was out of or sired by Ghost Zapper, and the East Avenue's mother was sired or whose father was Ghost Zapper, so something to note there. Ghost Zapper was 4-for-4 routing, never lost a race of a mile or greater, including a win in the 2004 a mile and a quarter Breeders' Cup Classic. Ghost Zapper won wire to wire as well as stalking, so a little bit of versatility and distance should not be an issue. And Ghost Zapper, perhaps through its bloodline, could inject some speed and stamina into East Avenue to boost ability at the Kentucky Derby distance. So even though the direct sire and dam weren't great at a mile and a quarter, perhaps Ghost Zapper's influence could be noted within East Avenue moving forward. As of now, January 22nd is when I pulled up all this information. East Avenue is currently tied for 8th place with 10 points toward an entry in the Kentucky Derby. This horse was previously the 10-1 favorite in the futures betting pool to win the 2025 Kentucky Derby and is now currently 15-1. So I had heard about this horse and just kind of wanted to know what's causing it to drift up a little bit. Could be other horses that have performed well. People are starting to bet the other horses, but I just wanted to take a look at one of the early favorites. East Avenue has had 3 career starts, 2 wins, no seconds, no thirds, and has earned $410,000 thus far. Hasn't raced since stumbling badly at the start of his most recent race, which was in November, the mile and the 16th Breeders' Cup Juvenile. I just want to know, is this horse being overlooked? I know it's only 15-1 right now. That's pretty low odds considering it's a futures Kentucky Derby bet, but I just want to know if this horse is going to be forgotten. This horse was once highly touted. It's got a solid pedigree and is getting a break between its 2-year-old and 3-year-old campaign and is working well into its 3-year-old campaign. So again, hasn't raced since November. It's now January, but I pulled up on Equibase. This horse has come back, started working out. Follow my cursor. We see January 3rd. This horse worked out on the dirt, a distance of 4 furlongs, and a furlong is an eighth of a mile, so 4/8 or 1/2 of a mile, in 49.2 seconds. And this horse's time was 21st best out of 66 running that distance on the dirt track of that day, so about mid-pack. The horse came back 6 days later, again on the dirt, 4 furlongs, same time, 49.2, so consistent. I kind of like to see that. And this time was 15th out of 116 horses that worked that distance on the dirt that day. So the time was the same. This was much closer to the fastest time of the day. I don't know if a lot more horses raced that were just slower. Was the track slower that day? And this horse actually performed better. It was 15th out of 116, so that's something to note. And then 8 days later, this horse came back in the dirt, ran 5 furlongs, so 5/8 of a mile, so a little bit further, a time of 59.4, breezing, and was the fastest workout at the distance on the dirt of that day. So this horse is working pretty regularly and has some pretty good time. So I'll be curious to see what happens when this horse does make its next start. So if we go and take a look at this horse's debut race, the first ever race, it was on August 24th, 2024 at Ellis Park. I'll talk about some notes and then we'll watch the race replay. It was a 6 furlong race on the dirt. It was a fast dirt track, so no water on the ground at Ellis Park. Horse breaks cleanly from post number 5 of 10. There were 2 scratches. Makes the lead by 1 length and stays clear. No horses really come up to contest that lead. Runs straight in the stretch, which you like to see with young horses, especially in their first race. Did not shy from the whip on debut. Sometimes horses can veer in and out when they feel the whip. It just startles them a bit. This horse won wire to wire as the even money favorite, so was expected to win, and ran moderate but even fractions, not lightning fast but not slow, and pretty much kept the pace throughout. So the fractions were roughly 23, 23, 24. And then we'll talk about some of the others after we watch the replay. So our horse is number 6, even though post 5 because there was a scratch. So we'll look for the black sash. We know he gets out to the lead. The jockey's wearing all blue. Horse gets out to the lead comfortable enough. Clears off. No horse is really dueling for the lead. Not putting too much pressure on this horse to run much faster. Jockey's not doing too much, so the horse is doing this tempo pretty comfortably. Watching the body language of the jockey. Hands are moving a little bit, just keeping the horse comfortable. Nice even pace. I mean, yeah, not a whole lot to take away from this race. The horse broke nicely, which is nice out of the gate on debut. Showed speed, got to the lead. Isn't being contested, though, so hard to say what this horse will do if being contested for the lead. Now we're going to look for him just to run in a straight path, so he's about this far from the rail. Pretty much stays on that path. Here comes the whip. Horse doesn't really budge, doesn't flinch or anything, just keeps on going. There's another tap of the whip, keeps going, wins easily. Pretty impressive debut, but again, it was the even money favorite, was supposed to win, but looked real professional doing it in its first ever race. So the others in this race, the second place finisher has no wins, a second, no thirds. Third place finisher has 4 starts, no wins, a second and a third. The fourth place finisher, 4 starts, 2 wins, a second and a third. So this kind of caught my eye, and this is a horse named Built. If anyone watched my grade 3 LeCompte videos I put out recently, this horse ended up routing in the mud, ran second in a grade 3 at Fairgrounds on January 18th. So the fourth place finisher is doing pretty well, is potentially on the Kentucky Derby trail. Ran a very good race, almost won that race actually, and beat my top pick Innovator in that race. So this horse did beat a talented runner that ended up finishing 4th this race, but beat this horse soundly. So if you think Built is good, East Avenue beat Built pretty soundly on debut. 5th place finisher has 5 starts, no wins, second or thirds. Next race was a stakes debut, October 5th, 2024 at Keeneland. Couple of notes, going a mile and a 16th, dirt fast at Keeneland. Goes from a maiden sprint race to a grade 1 route. Breaks clean from post number 5 of 11. Makes the lead and never challenged. Ran professionally throughout. Jockey hardly urged. Whip never came out. Wins wire to wire at 5-2 odds, the second choice in the betting. And ran solid fractions, about 23 to the first quarter, 23.5 to the second, 24.5 to the third quarter, 25.5 to the mile, and then I think it was almost 7 seconds for the final 16th. So we'll watch that replay and just make some notes. So we're horse number 5. Again, jockey should be wearing all blue. And breaks cleanly, breaks straight. No traffic. Right here in the turn, you'll see some horses kind of check, and it looks like there's some traffic issues. All that was taking place behind our horse. If you watch the head-on replay, you'll see that our horse did not cause interference. But our horse just gets out to a nice lead yet again, trying a new distance for the first time. So it's nice to see that the horse is comfortable. I guess I don't need to keep my cursor. The horse wins wire to wire. But right here, I'm just kind of looking at the jockey, see what the jockey's body language is doing. Look at the horse's head, see if the horse is throwing its head around. Looked like the field got a little bit closer and the horse kind of skirted away. And again, no one really pressing this horse, just doing it real comfortable. Now here's where I would expect someone to come and try and challenge this horse. Again, the jockey's still not really urging. Arms are pumping a little bit and he's separating himself from the field. The jockey of the horse that looks like it's going to run second is basically all out, asking the horse to really pick it up, and is not gaining much ground on our horse, East Avenue, out in front. Whip is out on East Avenue. Horse is running in a straight line, gets the rail trip yet again. So running a short distance, but just winning easily, winning by a distance. A really nice performance. Rider even quit riding the last 32nd of a mile. So again, 2 races looking really good. Some of the other runners from that race, the second place finisher has 4 starts, a win, 2 seconds, no thirds. 3 of the 4 races that this horse is run in are grade 1, so cream of the crop races. Only has that 1 win in a maiden race, but 2 second place finishes in grade 1s, that's nothing to scoff at. Third place finisher has 4 starts, a win, the maiden win, and a third place, but has been running in grade 1 and grade 2 company, so the owners think highly of this horse. And again, East Avenue beat both of these horses by a long distance. Fourth place finisher has 7 starts, 2 wins, and a second. This horse won an allowance race, so a notch below the graded stakes level at a dirt sprint. So shorter distance, just maybe going a mile. This race wasn't this horse's specialty. And the 5th place finisher, 4 starts, a win, and a third, and was 3rd place in an allowance. So it looks like only the 2nd, 3rd place finishers were grade 1 caliber horses, but have yet to run on par with East Avenue. East Avenue just blew the doors off them. And East Avenue's most recent race, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, November 1st, 2024 at Del Mar. Mile and a 16th on the dirt, fast dirt track at Del Mar. 2nd straight grade 1 at the same distance. Breaks poor, stumbles from post position 1 of 10. So right when the gates open, look for this horse to kind of almost fall down. Fell back to last early, and as you watch, this horse definitely likes to be on the front end. Did not seem to like kickback, which is the dirt being kicked up by the horses in front. I think in the first turn, this horse sort of throws its head around a little bit. That could be due to getting kickback in its face, perhaps for the first time. Depends on how they've been training this horse, if it's getting kickback in training. Something I'd like to know actually moving forward, if they're working this horse out behind any other horses since this race. This horse stayed on the rail, but still made up no ground late. So even though it was in the back, it saved ground, stayed near the rail, and didn't make up ground on the horses in front of him. This horse finished 2nd to last as the even money favorite here. So highly touted in a really good, high caliber race. Was the even money favorite. Lots of people like this horse, but you be the judge if the break really cost him. I believe it did. The horse just also did not like running from behind. So let's take a look at the race. So our horse is in post position 1 here, and watch right when the gates open, the horse falls down. You know this horse likes to go to the front. See, stopped, fell down, gave the other horses a half-second head start, and that makes a huge difference. So the horse seems to have gained himself. Just staying down near the rail. Jockey's not really asking him to pick it up right now, just seems to be comfortable staying behind. See, the horse is throwing its head around a little bit in that turn. Body language on the jockey, he's not asking the horse to pick it up. Maybe wants to make sure the horse is okay, didn't hurt himself in that stumble. Hard to know exactly what the jockey's thinking. Maybe there's an interview. We can go back and see what he says about this ride. Horse just kind of running evenly. He's catching up to the group a little bit. Running up closer to horses, so going to be getting a little bit more of that kickback as he does that. Citizen Bull is actually leading this race, and that's a horse that I've done a Kentucky Derby prospect video on already. But so now our one back here looks like it's trying to navigate through horses. The jockey's asking him to pick it up. It's just not really picking up any ground. Whip is out, still has the rail, open rail. Maybe just doesn't like this track. Hard to say what's really going on. Horse is just kind of spitting the bit, kind of quitting. Yeah, maybe doesn't like the kickback, maybe doesn't like the track, maybe just something at the start. To be determined. I will be very curious to see how this horse performs in its next race. So again, the others in this race, the first place finisher, 4 starts, 3 wins and a third, 2 wins and a third in a grade 1 stake. So again, cream of the crop, first place finisher, really talented. One of the betting favorites for the Kentucky Derby, actually. Second place finisher has 5 starts, 2 wins, a second and a third, a first and a second in grade 1s, and a third in a grade 2, which is a notch below grade 1s, obviously. Third place finisher has 3 starts, a win and a third. Fourth place finisher had 6 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, was first in a grade 3, so a maiden win and a grade 3 win. Again, a couple notches below the Kentucky Derby level of grade 1. And the 5th place horse was beaten soundly by East Avenue in the last race. Again, make of it what you will this race. Did the break totally cost East Avenue, or should East Avenue have picked up his feet later in this race and shown a little bit more heart late, but yeah, that's kind of what this game's all about. You got to decide what you think, and as far as I'm concerned, the training so far is looking good, so I'm curious to see East Avenue in its next start. Some positive and negatives, notes and takeaways. Positives: East Avenue breaks clean from the gate, except for when the horse really stumbled. This horse does break sharp and goes right to the front. Has that early speed to mitigate early traffic. Again, the Kentucky Derby is 20 horses, so you don't want to get stuck behind horses early. If you have a horse with a running style that likes to go to the front, you can really avoid being behind horses and not run into any traffic and just get a clean path around the racetrack. That's always good. Work tab seems to be going well as of late. This horse might be coming into early May more fresh. Of course, the Kentucky Derby is the first Saturday in May. And the fact that this horse was performing well, had that bad break, is taking a few months off, working well, and is probably going to have one, maybe two races before the Kentucky Derby. This horse just might be more fresh and more sharp physically coming into the Kentucky Derby than, say, the horse that won that last replay, Citizen Bull, who's already got 4 races under its belt. It's probably going to have a 5th with very minimal breaks in between. So East Avenue might have a little bit of a freshening that will help him come Kentucky Derby day. East Avenue has a good pedigree for the distance. Again, the sire, 15 starts, 7 wins, 6 seconds routing. The dam has 1 win routing, and the dam sire, the father of the mother of East Avenue, won the Breeders' Cup Classic at 1.25 miles, so I don't think the 1.25 miles is a big issue from a pedigree standpoint. The trainer of East Avenue has won the Kentucky Oaks, which is the female equivalent of the Kentucky Derby. The jockey of this horse was a close second in last year's Kentucky Derby aboard Sierra Leone, and Sierra Leone had a much different running style. That horse liked to drop back early near last at the start of the race and really make a big run late, whereas East Avenue obviously likes to go to the front. Jockey won the 2019 Preakness Stakes, so this jockey is familiar with the bright lights and the big stage that is the Kentucky Derby and the Triple Crown events. Some of the negatives: does not like kickback as of now. As we saw in that last race, did not seem to want to run into the dirt being kicked back at him. Of course, this horse can grow and mature. It's still a very young horse with few races under its belt, so maybe he can run a little bit better next time. If this horse doesn't break well, can he win from behind? That's yet to be determined. I haven't seen it yet. I'm very curious to see how this horse races next time out, see if it gets that gate issue figured out. East Avenue hasn't had a duel with another horse yet. You can probably expect a pretty honest pace, especially if horses like Citizen Bull, who won that last race out on the front end, is entered in the Kentucky Derby. Those horses both want the front end, so this horse is going to have to duel and look another horse in the eye at the early stages of the race. How is East Avenue going to respond under such circumstances? This horse's sire had the most wins at 1 mile and 1/8. Only 1 win at 1.25 miles. Most of its wins were at 1 mile and 1/8. So just from a pedigree standpoint, I hope that East Avenue can outrun its sire's specialty of 1 mile and 1/8. I think it can, but I just wanted to note that the sire did its best running at 1 mile and 1/8. And the trainer of this horse, Brendan Walsh, has not won the Kentucky Derby, but has an 8th place finish in the 2019 Derby. So this trainer is kind of flirting in the area of at least getting Kentucky Derby entrance, but not quite a win yet. But that's pretty much it for East Avenue. Again, lots to take away. I'm very curious about this horse's next race and what their plans are for this horse. I think it's got a lot of talent. This horse can't afford to miss the break. I'd like to see it duel with another horse next time out, or at least come from a little bit off another speed runner. I think the next race will be a training grounds for this horse. One to look out for sure. This horse is now 15-1 on the futures betting. It was 10-1, one of the favorites, but it's starting to drift up. So if you think this horse looks good, get your money in now, because if it comes out and has a really good race, expect those odds to drop a little bit. If it comes out, has a poor race, those odds might go up a little bit. Definitely the horse I'm most intrigued about seeing run again of all the Derby prospects I've done so far. But again, thanks for watching. Any feedback is appreciated. Leave your feedback in the comments. I read all the comments. Like, subscribe, and or share with friends, particularly friends who aren't familiar with horse racing. I'd love to get new blood into the game and show everyone what the game's all about. Share my playlist, How to Read a Racing Form, and Betting on Horse Racing for anyone that you think might be interested in the game. And How to Read a Racing Form, I break down all the components of the racing form and explain what it's telling you and what you can glean from that information. Betting on Horse Racing, I go over all the standard bets, talk about what they are, how much they cost, how to place them, and some things that I look for when I'm placing those bets. So yet again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.